Hi. Oh my god. Hello, good morning. I forgot to look up, my god. I forgot to look up what episode this is. This is episode 5 of Rhaenyra. Welcome back. I've made some moves. I've made some progress. I genuinely don't remember where I left off though. I'm gonna open a bubbly. Great. It's gonna get hot in here today. I already know it. It's 85. She's a little short right now, so don't judge the angle, okay? This side is nearly complete. We just need this line right here. And I have one finished on the hoop upstairs, and I'm just working through the other slowly, so slowly. How did I lose that pin? And then this side needs the dragon heads still, but I have one of them finished, one of the 3 finished, also in a hoop upstairs. For now, today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take everything off of this sample, and you can see I've made some adjustments to the collar, and I think that's it. I think I only made adjustments to the collar. So I'm gonna fully take the collar off, fix the pattern, so that we can get all of these adjustments done. We're just gonna keep chugging on. Once I have all of the pattern adjustments done, we can actually cut out of the fabric that has been sitting here for months. And then I have a really heavy bin up at the top, up there on the very end, that is all pleather, and I need to pull that down so that I can find the pleather that I want for the belt. Because once this embroidery is done, I can start beading, but then the belt is our next big project. There's only 56 days until San Diego Comic-Con when I'm trying to wear this. So I don't know if I'm gonna get the belt done. We might be doing a temporary belt where I don't know, I paint it or something. So, at least for San Diego. And then we will finish the belt at a later date. That's my current plan. I'm just gonna get to work. I kind of been lollygagging today, but also I was doing some other stuff. I had some stuff to do. We're just gonna get cooking right about now. Okay, also I need to finish cutting out all of the embroidery. As you can see, like none of this side is cut out. Almost all of this side is cut out. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot going on, so. So you can see there uneven. We're gonna have to be very careful with placement when we get around to it to make sure that this doesn't happen. You feel, but neither of these is final because I'm gonna do some adjusting to the smocking and the embroidery, I think. Maybe just the smocking, actually. Live, laugh, love. Okay, let's get around to the sample now. New collar is on. I like it. It actually might be a little tight right here. Actually, well, this is thinner than this. This is thinner than that will be. So I think we're okay. I love the way that it is molding right here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's gorgeous. And then, yeah. Now I'm going to try something. I have a few pieces that are not super happy. I was thinking about putting them on like a little piece of organza to connect them. IDK. That might honestly just build bulk. So I think I'm just going to prep the smocking to just start sewing the embroidery onto the smocking. I think that's just our best bet. Yeah, like I think I just need to get it attached. So I'm gonna go through each one, pull off everything, put it where it's supposed to rest on the sample, the smocking, yada yada yada. You know exactly how it was before when I took it apart, honestly. I'm making really good progress. I feel like maybe a little slower than I would like, but really good all the same. Okay, well, you know, this certainly looked shinier. This looked absolutely perfect in the sun, but this was still like slightly too dark. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna try a little dry brushing. Wish me the best. This is a guide that I made from the original map of the embroidery, and this is just to get all of the embroidery pieces lined up onto this smocking base. So you can see I went in and I completely traced out all of the base bone-like embroidery, as I've been calling it, and then I cut out specific shapes and laid it over top, making sure it was all perfectly lined up, especially with that shoulder seam. That was a huge guide for me. And then I pinned it all to the parchment paper. It's literally just like cooking parchment paper. I didn't use anything fancy. And then I traced all of the cutouts with chalk so that it would all be perfectly lined up. Once I had all of the markings done, I lined up each piece and pinned it on with little short, sharp pins. There are little sections of organza still in between some of the designs that I didn't bother cutting out because they're hidden now, and I used those really to place the pins. To actually secure the embroidery on before I hand sewed it on, I used a mixture of fabric paint and fabric glue. It's the exact same thing that I painted onto the back of the embroidery, and I just used this to really give myself a good starting point so that I wouldn't be fighting pins while I was hand sewing. crazy update, but I hate all of my embroidery. So I'm gonna pivot, I think. We're pivoting. It's so much more silver than I remember it being. Like, I finished the embroidery and then I got some of it stuck down onto this mocking and I went, this is not what it looks like. This just isn't what it looks like. But I don't have time, okay? I don't have time to start over because that's 7 months worth of embroidery. And I have less than 40 days until the convention I'm premiering this at, and then it is 30 days after I wear it at this convention that it has to be completely finished with any updates and anything for the FanX cosplay contest submissions. So we're gonna pivot, and it's gonna be a quick pivot, and I'm just going to attempt a silver dry brush over top to make it look more metallic and then go back in on some parts with an actual metallic thread. But we're gonna have to be selective because I'm running out of time very quickly and I have more than one costume going on right now. Yeah, so we're gonna do that now and then we'll see where we're at. But I got all the fabric cut out. I have the fabric here and I'm just gonna serge all of it. I don't necessarily need to because it is gonna be fully lined, but I'm just gonna serge all of it because I know I'm gonna be like handling quite a few of the pieces and just like carrying them around like in bags and different stuff while I'm hand sewing. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish all of the edges and everything while I figure this out. Yeah, so that's the update. I have to sew like the wind is what I keep telling everyone. Sorry, I'm too busy. I have to sew like the wind.
When I did end up painting the embroidery, I still used a dry brushing technique, but I ended up using a lot more paint than I thought I would. I wanted it to be very silver, but still be able to see the embroidery stitches, because I did sit and hand embroider for 7 months, so. To place the smocking onto the base fabric, you can see me tracing the paper along the line with a pin and then pinning it into place. That just gives me a little groove to fold, and then I did do some chalk on it to mark the lines, and then I put pins in where the breaks in the embroidery was, as well as where the end of each section is, and I'm marking those all with chalk. I then pinned both of the fabric pieces together and traced along the lines to transfer the guide exactly as I could onto both sections. On the actual costume, the skull embroidery pieces have this outline that I could not for the life of me figure out what it was. I originally thought it was goldwork wire. I put that on. It did not look right, so I took it off, and then I ended up actually just going with a full piece of embroidery floss. So I actually threaded it onto a needle, and I started it at one edge just to get a nice clean start to it. And then I went over it and I hand tacked it down with a single piece of the same embroidery floss, just all the way around each of the skull pieces. This was actually probably the hardest part of this entire thing, was this ribbon section. I originally was going to use both pieces of ribbon, but I could not sew through the fabric with both of the ribbons. You can see I'm using a pair of pliers to pull the needle through. I used a thicker needle and I pulled it through and made a hole first, and then I pulled this needle through with a set of pliers. I broke 2 different needles while doing this. I also went in and I ended up hand sewing down the backing of the ribbon so that all of the pieces of ribbon would be the perfect length forever. They kind of are a little bit bubbled, if that makes sense, so that it gives real dimension in those gaps in the embroidery pieces. Okay, editor here. This is months later. I filmed all of this in June. It is now August. I'm just getting around to editing it. I have been super busy, but I locked in and I forgot to film a couple of things. So I showed you when I transferred the pattern from the paper map onto the actual fabric and how I used chalk, and then I pinned that together. I kind of explained it in the voiceover. I just did that. So now I'm filling in the gaps, basically. What you aren't seeing is that I went and I hand sewed in all of the edges, as well as I hand sewed the edges of the embroidery that kind of overhang. Like there's the bone embroidery, as I call it, and there's little edges that hang over, and I hand stitch all of those down. I was super careful to make sure that it would not be like caught in where the lining is gonna go on the shoulder piece, if that makes sense. And then I'm actually going to go in and hand stitch down all of the edges on the smocking to the fabric backing, because otherwise it would like fold really weirdly, and I want this all to be like stiff and perfect and nice, and you get it. Yeah, so that's what's going on here in these next few clips. Hiya, long time no chat. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of locked in and kept sewing. I was taking it to work a lot too, so, you know, yeah. But this is where we're at. All of this is sewn on except for like a couple spots in here, because I decided to tack down all of these, and then it also helped extra when I was doing it on this because it kept all of that like I haven't done over here. And it like bubbles really bad. So I'm gonna have to tack down some of those areas. Then I also haven't tackled any of this yet. On the other piece, I have a few of the beads in, a few of these ones in on these parts, just to keep them more in place, but not on this one. Yeah, so we're gonna call this video for now, because I actually did way more of this than I thought I would on this video, just because I told everyone I was sewing like the wind, and I really did sew like the wind. Can I also just say, this video uncut was over 4 hours long. I don't know how I got it down to 20 minutes, but I did. So pat on the back for me. 4 hours. So thank you for watching.
I'm gonna go start the next video now. I'm very proud of my work. And thanks for tagging along. See ya.